Hey guys, it's Gaia, what's up, and welcome back for another video, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a very highly requested video where I'm going to discuss my first year experience at Nottingham Trent University. If you guys watch me regularly, you'll realise that I've done my second year review before I did my first year review, but that's only because I didn't have this YouTube channel last year when I was in first year. Like I said, a lot of people have asked for this, and I thought, why not? My first year was definitely a lot more, could you say juicy, or like a lot of stuff happened, a lot of good, but a lot of also bad things happened in first year. If you find this video helpful, please give it a massive thumbs up, and if you haven't already, start now and click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss anything on this channel. If you're new, I regularly post NTU related stuff and other advice videos, so check out my channel if you want more NTU content. But apart from that, I'm going to jump straight into the video. So let's rewind back to my first year at Nottingham Trent University. Let's go. So right now I've got, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I've literally got like a list of all the things I kind of want to talk about. It seems like a long list, so I'm going to try and rattle through everything because a lot did happen in first year for me. All of it is really important to give you an accurate idea about whether you want to come to NTU and what first year is going to be like. So I put a Q&A on Instagram asking for a few people to send in like questions about first year, and most of the responses kind of revolved around first week of university and homesickness and all that stuff. I'm one of those people that I'm not really like a homesick person. I wasn't homesick for first year or for second year really. And I think that was because I was just so excited to like leave my hometown and just like start something fresh and just start university. I moved in on the Friday, and then Freshers Week started on the following Monday. So I had a few days to like settle in and all that stuff. I remember moving in with my family and my boyfriend at the time. You know, I wasn't like homesick. I would say I was slightly nervous. Like the whole of Freshers Week, the way it's designed, they do give you a lot of free time to settle in. And I'd say I probably took maybe like 2 or 3 days to settle in. We spent the first few days actually just solely unpacking and decorating my room, as I think most people do. Thankfully I lived in Gill Street South, which is an accommodation on city campus. Thankfully Gill Street South is like 2 minutes away from campus, and I find that just really good because you can just roll out of bed and get to uni. From memory, I don't think I went out on the first night, but I did go out the second night when it was like beach themed. I'll leave like a photo here. We went to the Trent SU as well. At the time I thought it was really good, but now that I've like been to it several times, I feel like other clubs are better. And then we also did Trent Army, which is a night where you kind of dress up in like camo, and we went to Rock City, and that was the first night I'd ever been to Rock City. And if you watch my channel regularly, you'll know I'm a massive fan of that club. I remember at the time it like proper scared me going to Rock City. I was like, oh my god, it's so big, because the capacity is like 3,000. The main hall, I found it was just like never ending. It was just such a mad night, but I just had so much fun. After Freshers, I didn't really go out that much, like as much as a first year should have. If you want some advice on making friends really easily at NTU, join loads of Facebook groups and accommodation groups as soon as you accept your offer, especially if you join them like say 6 months before you move to uni. You will have been chatting to other people who will be on your course or in your like accommodation block, or even your flatmates several months before like you move in, so you get to know them more. And I'm so thankful I had those groups because I felt a lot more comfortable like meeting up with people. But apart from that, looking back, I did actually find first week really hard. Like I said, not because of homesickness, but because I realised after a bit I didn't really click with my flatmates at the time, and the only person I really just wanted to see was my boyfriend, who is now my ex-boyfriend. He wasn't a student and he lived back home, so I could only see him like 2 times a week, and he left like the morning after the first day, like the second day, if that makes sense. I remember I was just really like upset because I was thinking, oh no, like I've literally not got like my friend here anymore, like I've not got my pal. At the time, it wasn't like they were awful or anything, but they just weren't my people, and I guess I wasn't theirs. I never really felt like they included me in nights out and stuff. So yeah, for the first few days I did feel quite lonely, especially since like in the first week you don't really, even the other people you meet on Facebook group chats and your course mates, you don't really know them just yet, so you can't really just like ask them around to your room and just chill and be your best friend, because they're not just yet. For the first few weeks they do coax you slowly into the course. I found it really good that the teaching was originally quite laid back, because that gave the students then time to adjust to other aspects of their student life, such as flatmates, such as, you know, being away from home, all that stuff. Also, a good thing about being on city campus is that it is slap bang in the middle of Nottingham, so you are like literally surrounded by so many shops and clubs. I know for Clifton campus, if you are going to live on Clifton campus, it's only like a 30-minute bus drive from the city, so if you do want to either live in the city and then hop on a bus and go to Clifton for your lectures, you can do that. A lot of people I know did that. Or if you are deciding to live on Clifton campus and you are worried about getting to and from like clubs at like 3 a.m, they do night buses, and obviously you've got an Uber. Buses are pretty cheap from what I can remember, and during the first week they have fresher reps, which are like second and third years, who basically like take you to clubs and they kind of chaperone you, and I just found that like really helpful. They're there for you if you need them. Also, during the first week I remember it being so daunting walking into those introductory lectures that they do, because basically within the first week they give you like kind of orientation. They basically try to introduce you to like your course leader and your tutors and all that stuff. First ever like session, they got us all to meet in like this banquet room. It wasn't even like a lecture hall, it was a banquet room. We all had to just sit on these big round tables and do like icebreakers and stuff, and it was just super awkward. Like I remember I was really awkward and shy, and loads of other people were, and we all had to wear these like name tags. And unfortunately, no matter what course you do, you're gonna have to do something like that, and even though none of us liked it, I think you do need to do it. It just has to be done, unfortunately. But after that, they don't really do any of that. I remember walking into the room and desperately, because there's like a good 300 people in the room, and I remember desperately looking. I was trying to scan the room for faces that I like briefly recognised from Facebook profile pictures, and I was like, oh my god, is that person? Should I go sit with them? And then in the end I just sat down at a table and just joined in with those, but it's just, I remember it's so awkward. But everyone feels like that, so don't feel like you're alone in this. If you are kind of struggling to settle in uni, try to encourage yourself to join a lot of different social groups as you can. So it just means that like you're not just solely relying on your course mates, you're also friends with people in your societies, you're also friends with people just from other places, other aspects of university life. Hey guys, I've just realised from editing this video that I didn't really discuss societies that much. I guess there's not really much to say on societies except from the fact that there are honestly like hundreds of them at NTU, and there is literally a society for anything, like you name it, like hummus society, film society, like you name it. Societies that I have joined have always been really welcoming, and there's always been so many like fun fresher events. And if you are planning to go to Ocean on Wednesdays, I recommend going with a society or a sports club. It's always really fun for everyone in the society to dress up with a theme. I also recommend joining a society just so you have like extra friends, extra networks, just extra university opportunities to experience while in first year. I would recommend joining like as many societies as you can, because you have way more time to join societies in first year, and looking back now I really wish I had joined a lot more. But yeah, apart from that, I hope you guys are enjoying this video, and let's carry on. Overall, term 1 I didn't really enjoy it, and that was mainly to do with the fact that I felt like I was in my room 24/7 because of my flatmates, and also because of another issue that I will bring up later on in the video. So for this next section I'm gonna explain my experience with horror flatmates, as I'd like to call them. If any of my old flatmates do ever stumble across this video, I don't feel like all of them were like horrible or horrendous, it's just that there was probably like 2 or 3 that were just significantly bad. So basically, very quickly throughout term 1, our flat ended up becoming known as like the Ketty flat, or like the party flat. And obviously I'm not going to name names, but there was a few individuals that just, let's just say they like to party a lot, and there's no problem with that. Like, we're in first year, you're encouraged to get smashed at every opportunity. But an issue I had with them was that they didn't really respect like the rest of the flat, and I was not the only one that had issues, as I found out with those flatmates. As I found out later through talking with the uni, other flatmates ended up actually complaining. Let's just say I had my fair share of D&B being blasted through my walls at 4 a.m. when I had a 9 a.m. lecture. They were eating my food, like literally like raiding my food, to the point like I will happily show you evidence of what I had to deal with. They weren't even subtle with it. It got to the point where I even had to write my name in Sharpie on my food, because I thought, oh, maybe they just didn't realise that they'd taken the wrong food. But even after I'd written my name on my food, they still left it out and were really obvious with the fact that they'd stolen my food. Let's just clear things up here. In first year didn't have a maintenance loan for personal reasons, and that meant for food I had to depend solely on my part-time job, which was only pulling in probably like £80 a week, £100, something like that. I can't afford, especially considering I have to do like a weekly food shop, I can't afford to keep replacing food that other students are eating. If you desperately need some milk or cheese in the middle of the night or something like that, by all means knock on my door, ask me. You know, it's my stuff. My flatmates used to bring a lot of people over and they weren't really obviously respectful either. And one time one of the flatmates, his mate, threw up all over the kitchen floor, but my flatmate didn't clean it up and they left it there for 14 hours. Even after it got eventually cleaned up, the room still stunk of sick. They even used the mop to clean it up, so the mop forever had bits of just old dried sick in it, which means you couldn't use the mop afterwards. They also used to set the fire alarm off a lot. As you guys will realise if you live in any of the NTU accommodations, especially Yorkshire South or Byron, as I found, the fire alarm is directly above your head, and like when you're sleeping, the way that they lay out the room, it's directly above your bed. The fire alarm always went off when I was like asleep at like 3 AM, and no joke, it sounded like an ambulance siren times 100. Looking back now, it probably was meant to be loud to wake students up, but honestly, having that go off, and it just would always just trigger my fight or flight mode. I'd wake up just really anxious and just like, oh my god, crap, I need to quickly grab my shoes, I need to just like make it out there, I need to go get to the fire exit. After a bit, it became known that it was my flat that was setting the fire alarm off a lot, and it was because they'd come in smashed, for example, and they'd try and cook pasta with oil instead of water, or they'd be caught vaping and all this stuff, or they'd be smoking. Like literally within the first 24 hours of me actually moving into NTU, within the first week, we already had a letter from the warden saying that apparently the cleaner or someone else had seen signs of us smoking in the flat. I'm surprised no one ever actually got caught. The amount of times I would smell weed up and down the corridor, like it was ridiculous. It even got to the point where I could smell it in my room. And to clear things up, I don't have any issues with people who want to do that. If you want to do that, that's on you. I have nothing against it, you know. I do know how to have a good time. But at the same time, I'm one of those people that like, you do you, but if you're going to affect me, then we have a problem. It got to the point where I had to plug towels under my door, the bottom of my door. I don't know how much they were bloody smoking, but they were obviously smoking it next door. The smell must have just come out of his room into the hallway and into mine because I was directly next to him. And no offense, but like I don't want to smell that. The whole point of having a room is that, you know, you kind of want to be able to design it the way you want, and that includes the smell. I personally don't want to have to smell heavy fags and weed every single time I'm going to bed or doing a uni essay. One of their friends, I think he was a DJ, he would bring the proper like DJ stacks that they have, the amps, and I don't really know the terminology, but that stuff, and they'd play it in the kitchen. And even though I was pretty far away from the kitchen, I could just hear it, and it got to the point where like I'd have to message them and say, hey guys, do you mind turning it down? Like even then I was compromising, like I wasn't telling them to turn it off, but just turn it down slightly so they can still have fun and I can still get my sleep. But no, it got to the point where I think they liked winding me up or just upsetting me, which I think is just a proper dickhead move really. Actually, it got to the point where I just say, guys, do you mind turning it down? And they'd bring the music into his room, my flatmate. Out of all of them, there was one that really stood out. Again, I have nothing against him, it's just the fact that he was affecting my sleep, he was affecting my happiness, my mental health. I don't want that. And he didn't even apologise for stealing my food, he didn't apologise for waking me up. He didn't apologise for the amount of times he set the fire alarm off, but he would basically, him and his mates, after I'd messaged the group chat, they'd bring the music into his room so I'd hear it louder. And as advice to you guys, you will probably have flatmates like that person who steals food and plays music when you don't need it. And my advice to you is buy some earplugs, listen to meditation music. If you can't reason with them, do those things. Unfortunately, some people just don't listen, and some people are really selfish and just don't care. It just started to affect my mental health because I couldn't sleep, and when I got sleep deprived, I got very anxious, and it always happened on nights before I had my part-time job. And because my part-time job is quite fast-paced, because I work in a kitchen, I used to get really stressed out that I wasn't awake enough. Some of the times when it got really bad, I'd literally find myself falling asleep at work, and that's dangerous. I'm around hot things, I'm around grills and fryers and stuff. I would literally find myself dropping because he was affecting my sleep pattern that much. Our flat got a lot of complaints. I wasn't the only one who was a bit upset. A lot of other people did not like the pounding music or the constant smell of weed. Like, we were known as the flat that always set the fire alarms off, and I'm surprised NTU never really like investigated why. Like, even when one of them actually got caught vaping, which is technically against the student code of conduct, he literally got off with like a warning. Like, it wasn't even a warning, he was just like, the guy came in, fixed the fire alarm off, asked him what he was doing, he was like, I'm vaping, and then the security guy was like, oh, okay. And then I was just there like, what is the point of having a student code of conduct if you're not actually gonna like enforce it? With NTU, they have this hotline that you're supposed to kind of text if you do have any issues with the flat. The text would go to my accommodation security team, who would then supposedly sort out the problem, I think I only texted them once or twice because it didn't work. Like, they literally didn't, the security guy would come around and he didn't really solve it, he didn't fix it. No one ever really like investigated it, and I just wanted to move out more than anything. Eventually, 4 months later, I moved out to another flat. Despite bringing it up with NTU, despite saying, please, like, I'm not one to snitch, but at the same time, like, please just move me out. Like, they wouldn't. I just sought the move myself. I managed to find another accommodation in January of first year. Thankfully, they were all quiet girls that actually kept to themselves. I found like my accommodation experience was so much better when I moved into the second flat because I was actually getting sleep, my food wasn't being eaten, it wasn't being discarded either, things weren't being broken. Like, to this day, I have so many pots and pans that have been scraped because my old flatmates used them without asking. Even though NTU can be really helpful when they want to support you, I found their warden like system to be, like, no offense, but just, they did not help me. Because of the fact that we got complained about so much, not just from complaints from other flatmates within my flat, but also other complaints, that basically the warden eventually investigated our flat. And let's just say they really just did nothing. Like, even when photographic evidence turned up that the people in my flat were doing illegal stuff, the warden was like, she literally said to me when I was like, what does this mean for me? Does this mean I can finally move out? They were like,
sorry, we've closed the case now. Those pieces of evidence will be put in a file.
I can't tell you how much that angered me, and that is one of the things I don't like about Nottingham Trent. They do have a very good student support service, but for the warden service, they did not help me. I was struggling. I was very sleep deprived and borderline depressed because of these flatmates, and the wardens just didn't do anything for me. The new accommodation, like I said, was much better. Not gonna lie, looking back, it's a shame that I didn't live there like first, because I could have really done with some friends around me when I went through some awful stuff that I will now lead on to. So as you guys will know from listening to this video, I had a boyfriend at the start of first year. Let's just say he is no longer my boyfriend, and that is because without me realizing that over the past year that we'd been dating, he was a very abusive and manipulative guy. But little did I know, throughout term one, he was the reason why I was not going out as much, and the reason why I stayed in my room was not just because of my flatmates, but because of him. He actively encouraged like my own kind of self-isolation. Like, he didn't like my friends, he didn't like what I wore on nights out, and let me tell you, I never wore anything like risky or like inappropriate when I went on a night out. He was just a very jealous guy who had very low self-esteem issues. Quite frankly, I'm so glad I'm out of that relationship, and I'm so glad he has never been on this channel. You know, good riddance in a way. If he ever watches this video, then I hope he realises he's a piece of trash. He was very, very abusive after the breakup, and it just got to the point where I was generally scared for my safety. That's where NTU came in, that they were actually really helpful. They supported me so much, they gave me so much like guidance, and they offered me counselling. I could go to this chat plane. He's like you don't have to be religious to talk to him, but he's really good for like just talking about personal issues. In the social science department, they also have a woman that you can talk to if you have any like personal problems, and I'm so thankful I had that support in place, because I didn't have anyone in the flat, like my flatmates, to come check on me. So when I was really when I was reeling after the breakup and when I was going through some shit, I really needed friends around me, and unfortunately I didn't have that. So for a long time I was just alone. When I look back, first year, a lot of it was just a mess. Like, as you guys will realise now, I had a lot of bad experiences. You know, I had the mess that was the horror flatmates, and I had a very abusive ex-boyfriend. Like I said, the reason why I didn't go out as much in first year was because of him. Even during Freshers Week, without me realising, like, he was so controlling. Like, Like, I remember the first night I went to that Rock City Trent Army night, I had to leave early because he called me a good 17 times within like 2 minutes. Constant, because he wanted me to text him like every 5 minutes to check if I was okay. And at the time I was like, oh, he's really caring for me. But no, he was just trying to control me. Didn't want me partying for too long because I guess he didn't want other guys to look at me or just some stupid toxic man stuff. Also with NTU, not only did they support me through the really toxic abusive breakup, also I found out through first year that I was dyslexic. They managed to get me a dyslexia test and a diagnosis, which I had not had a chance to get in my sixth form. So a lot of grey areas in my life when it comes to learning have now finally been cleared up as to why I don't retain information as fast as say other people do. Overall, the teaching is quite laid back and easy in first year, especially compared to second year, as I've now found. They do spoon feed you a lot, but that is because probably 20% of your cohort have never done the course before. For me, that was psychology. 20% of my course had never done psychology at A level or BTEC or anything. So they give you like easier tasks, especially in term 1, to get you on board with everyone and like to develop the same skills and knowledge. Like for example, our course did these like notebook tasks in term 1, which are basically like every week they teach you a different step of how to write a report, and then in term 2 and 3 you're writing those reports. You know, they're examining you on those reports on your skills. Speaking of exams, we didn't have exams in term 1 or January, because I know a lot of unis do January exams, but we didn't have any of those. But we did have exams in June. I had I think 4, I think 2 for psychology and 2 for criminology, and 2 of them were multiple choice, so that was nice. I think really I'm gonna leave it there because I've just realised this video is getting really long, and I think I have summed up a lot of things that did happen in first year. Obviously I can't talk about everything because we'd be here for hours. If you got this far in the video, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you. I hope it gave you like a realistic idea. Obviously for some people first year is the best year of their life, especially in uni. You know, they go out so much, they just meet new people, it's amazing, and uni is that. You can get those experiences in second and third year if you don't get them in first year, like as I found. But there is also the negative side of university, that it isn't all rainbows and unicorns. I did have quite a shit year in first year. Even though some aspects of Nottingham Trent University are amazing, like they do try to help you, there are aspects that can be improved, such as the security teams, such as the warden system, like, and sometimes I feel like it's because university is a business, and that's because your money, and they won't always help you the way that you need help. Having said that though, I don't want to end this on like a negative note. Nottingham Trent is a great university. In second year I definitely had a much better experience. If you guys would like to know about my second year review, I will link it up above so you can watch it. I think I'm going to keep this short just because, like I said, this video is getting really long. If you did watch to the end, please put this emoji. If you have any burning questions as an NTU prospective student or a student for any university, please link them below. I will happily reply to them. I welcome any questions. Please send them my way. I really want to help you guys feel like you know Nottingham Trent University or university life in general. Thank you for watching this, and I really hope this helped again. I do an NTU related video every single Tuesday, so look out for that if you want more advice and content. Thank you for watching guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye!